Hi, Beatle Eddie here. So I want to tell you a story. Um, as most of you know already, I am a first generation Beatle fan. Some people don't know even what that means. First generation Beatle fan means that I was around when the Beatles were a group, when the Beatles were the Beatles, and I was alive and teenager. Um, let's see, when the Beatles broke up, I was, how old was I? Let's say, say they broke up in 1970. It was the early part of 70, right? So, um, 15, 14, about 14 years old. Not yet 15. But I bought albums from the Beatles when they were released. The day of release. The White Album, I remember buying the White Album. There was this little local store in my neighborhood in Brooklyn. And on the day of release was the day before my 13th birthday. I bought the White Album. Kind of tell you my age, but I don't care. So anyway, I bought the White Album that day, and I must have played it at least 4 times in a row. And I think I even had a low number because I bought it on the day of release. Anyway, so I had all the Beatle albums when at a day of release mostly. Uh, However, being a teenager and a young boy, a young man, um, I didn't really treat the records so carefully. Maybe a scratch here, a scratch there. So a lot of my original records, not that it was in terrible shape. It was in good shape, but there were scratches here, there scratches there. Sometimes it skipped a little. That's from all the wear and tear of playing it. I remember when Help came out. So I was very young, and I took a crayon, and I took the cover of Help, and I started drawing, making beards on them and all that, and funny things I used to do with crayons. So I kind of took the value out of a lot of these records, unfortunately. So even if I have a lot of them still, it's not really worth much. So the thing is, I met a neighbor of mine, and we started talking, and I told him I was a big Beatle fan, and he said, well, my wife is a very big Beatle fan. She has all their records, and she's about my age, so she also has original. Now, I said, now this is the thing. They said they haven't played it in years. She hasn't played it in many years because they don't have a record player. When the CDs came out, they stopped making records, and so they never really bought a new record player. I guess the old record player broke, and they never replaced it. So they don't have a record player. They don't have a player to play vinyls. And of course, she had all these vinyls. So I said, some of them might be worth a lot of money. He said, but I looked at it. I looked at on eBay, and it didn't look like much. You have to know where you're going. You go to these record stores, they buy them. You can get much more. And I'm talking about real. She had real original albums, like Meet the Beatles. with the black cover on the record and the rainbow, not the orange cover or green cover, capital. The original black label, um, and which I had. I also had that, but mine was not in such excellent condition. So I, I came over to the house. I said, "You mind if I take a look at these records?" And they didn't mind. And I'm looking at them, completely immaculate. Every single one of these, immaculate. Not a scratch on the record. Nothing on all the records. Not warped. Not no warp. Nothing. These. I said, these records are worth a lot of money. And then the husband told me before I met the wife. I never met the wife. This is neighbors. And the husband told me, "Do you want them?" And I said, "Hey, why not? Yeah, sure." But when I got to the house, they showed me all those records. They didn't have the butcher one. They had yesterday and today they had the regular one that was replaced with McCartney in a suitcase. But still, it was immaculate. An original album. It was immaculate. And Sergeant Pepper, a lot of monos. Later on, they had the stereos because that's all they made. But they had every single album from all the Capitol albums, from Meet the Beatles to Let It Be. And 13 albums. She had 13 albums, all lined up in order. I said, I'll take them off your hand. You don't have a record player. I'll take it off your hand. And she said, "I don't think so." I said, "Why? You don't have a record player. You can't play them anyway." And she said, and I understood what you're saying. She said, "These all have sentimental value to me. I can't give them up. They're collecting dust, but they have sentimental value to her." I understand that. And then she said, "I used to save up money," because she was a kid. She said, "I used to save up money so I can buy them." So I wasn't going to fight her, I wasn't going to offer her a lot of money for it, because first of all, I don't even know exactly how much it's worth. But I'm not going to take, her albums away. She has sentimental value, and let her have it. Let her have it, and yeah. So that's it. But, geez, it's a waste. I mean, there's 13 albums, the whole Beatle collection from Capitol. And all immaculate. Because maybe, I don't know how she kept it in such good condition. I guess she never played it too much. All immaculate, 100%. And as I said, not warped, nothing. I mean, I even told her, "Look, go to this certain store." I said you the store. I said you Joe Mayo's store, the one that he goes to, all the time. With what's his name? Bazooka Joe owns it. I can send him there. No, I don't want to sell it. I don't want to sell it. Like I said, I understand. I understand sentimental value and all that. Maybe I ask her in another year or two again, see if she changes her mind. Meanwhile, it's not being played because they don't have a record player, and just sitting collecting dust. Well, at least the album's probably not collecting dust because it's inside the cover, inside the jacket. The jackets are all collecting dust. I told her dust it a while. So once in a while, I'll take a duster and dust, keep it clean. So that's it. Yeah. So that's the story. I think this lady has gold in her house. One day, okay. So that's what I wanted to say today. I guess it's called a Beatles Find without me actually having it. Maybe one day I have it and I can show you, and I'll show you exactly how immaculate this is, how beautiful it is, how the cover is not even dented or anything written on it. And I mean, the plastic around is not on it, but that's okay. She took care of it beautifully. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. That's what I want to talk about today. Everybody have a wonderful day. We'll see you around. Thank you. Bye.